I have to go get Peanut at some point when she's sure we're not shooting.
Yeah, Peanut would probably enjoy being on the camera here.
She likes being on the camera.
Don't we all?
That one, yeah.
Sweet.
Hi, Misha here.
And this is Fox.
And this is, we're just going to call it Q&A episode number 1 because we have not done a question and answer in a while. But, you know, life has changed. We started doing some lives. That's kind of what semi-replaced them. But there is something to be said for getting Patreon's questions, answering them at our leisure, and maybe showing a gun here or there that we can't do on a live.
I agree.
So that's what it is. Basically, Patreon submitted questions. You know the deal by now. You're on the internet. And we're going to start with some that were actually sent via, private message on the email in the Patreon, whatever you call it. It's been a long day. And then we're going to get into a thread we opened up on Patreon for some other questions. So, yeah.
Right on. Let's start with number 1 from Roman Lumpkin. Hey, Misha. Long time no see here. Hope you're doing well, brother. I am looking for another FB Radom mini barrel, like one I purchased previously. If you happen to have one on hand or know where and how much I can find one for, please get back.
And this question came a few weeks back now, but I thought it was kind of important to talk about the FB barrel situation because it's happening. I knew it would, especially with the minis, because when they were coming in, people, they were good guns. They weren't being accused of anything bad, but they were almost too cheap for what they were, and people thought, well, I'll just get them later because they were in stock.
No.
But then they disappeared, and they were kind of the first of the brills to kind of go away. Now you're starting to see the rifles get harder and harder to find, but...
Well, they were the first to go down in price, too.
Yeah, they got
to leave.
Ridiculous. They were like $1,000.
Yeah, that's what I got mine for, and I love it. Happy.
Yeah, they were really... And what's nice about being a pistol is it's just a straight import. No fuss, no muss. But unfortunately, I don't know, and I don't foresee the Radom factory in Poland doing a lot of those just because they're kind of moving on to the Grot and other things.
For sure. Yeah, good question, Roman. We'll go ahead and jump into Steve Wisdom. Question number 2. He says, any plan to review a 2011 pistol in the near future? Thanks.
Fun fact, that question actually came in as we were setting up to do this video, so you got it at the front. Plus, he was our newest Patreon at $10, and that's if you'd like to pitch in. And we've had a lot of help since I kind of put that video out a month ago. A lot of new support, and not only was it greatly needed and appreciated, honestly, it made my day that day. It really did. It kind of got me in the feels, and sometimes, I don't need a lot of positive encouragement, but sometimes we all need a little bit of reaffirmation while we're doing something, because
for sure
sometimes it does feel like I think this thing. Anyway, as to a 2011, well, we did try a Wilson out. You'll see a video. It didn't go as well as we'd hoped. Did get a few Wilsons in. Although we need to do that video on your Springfield operator.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
We've got a couple of newer, maybe not exactly 2011s, but newer 1911 styles we'll be doing.
Yeah. I've got, I actually just went to a course 2 weeks ago, and Staccato gave me 2 of their pistols to run. So put probably close to 1,000 rounds through each, the Model C, and I don't know, a couple of different ones. And
joining.
Yeah.
And if anyone else would like to, a bucket up, $5 and up, $10, or 25 if you'd like to help build the range, which is probably our next step now that the cabin's done.
For sure. Tyler Martis, I think is how you say that last name. Tyler M. My name is Tyler. I am a small pawn shop. I am actually trying to contact you not for promotions, but for a Romanian RPK I took in on trade. I believe what I have is a paratrooper, but once I looked it up, I seen that mine does not have the dong foregrip. I have watched all your videos on the paratrooper, and yes, they all have the dong. Searching through your videos on the paratrooper, oh God.
Yeah, he wrote a lot, but I wanted to include this here because there was a resolution. I actually told him to give me a call because I wanted to figure out, A, if his gun was one of the quote-unquote AES-10B paratroopers. It does seem to be. When Century sold them, all the ones I saw were 1989 dated trunnions, and his was. It had all the things like the adjustable bipod, folding stock. Sure, not always clear, but the dong thing. This is what I talked with him about, and there's a cool resolution. When Century did those, when they came in, either legally or just because they cut the dongs off. They basically did a bobbit on them. And that's bad because those paratroopers with the RPK trunnion and barrel had their own carving for that front dong. So they're very hard to find. And even though mine has it, I had to put it on post facto. Mine, like all the ones I ever saw Century ship, did not have the dong. So I got mine from Arms of America years later and whatnot. And those regular Romanian dongs for just a AKM are not cheap now. They're, I don't know, people are offering like
a couple $100 bucks.
Yeah.
They're just so rare and hard to find.
And that's just a regular one. For the RPK, I told him, look, man, I don't know what one would go for, but one in nice shape with matching upper handguard. I could see someone asking $5, and I said, I know how you want to complete your gun, but A, they didn't come in with them, so your gun's not incomplete.
Right.
B, don't pay $500.
No, I think there's still enough room in the world where you can find a set for $100, $150.
By the way, Miss Peanut has now joined us, or at least I heard her bell.
I heard a little jangle.
Are you pleased with yourself for having come into the video? She was not hiding. She was too mighty and brave for that. She was taking a strategic nap while we shot today.
That's right.
So she'll probably hop up in a minute. Anywho, so I had a suggestion, and I was just spitballing. I said, check Arms of America, other importers. They might bring them in, even though it's a pretty rare part. But I said, it's just wood.
Right.
Maybe an American maker, I know, Ironwood's gone, but like that, will do replicas. And he wrote me a couple of days later saying, he found a company, and I forget the name right now. I apologize.
For sure.
They're making them, and he thanked me for the idea. He said he never would think of it. He found it, and he said it was, like a couple $100, something like that.
Yeah.
But that's still a lot better than $500, and it's
Of course.
new, and he can look at it. So I just wanted to include that, and that's kind of a lesson for a lot of that stuff. I get wanting the correct accessory. Don't overpay. Yeah.
So next question is, whatever, is from UB. It says, I subscribe to your Patreon to send you this message to correct your recent video about Fed Arm, POF, and MP5s. This is going to be interesting. I am the project manager for the POF projects at Fed Arm and its associated companies. I have accurate knowledge, the full 12-year history of the company, and the history of POF imports. Neil was a fan of your channel.
That was the owner of the company.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Neil. Yeah.
Yeah. Neil was a fan of your channel, had us contact other YouTubers like Flandra and Oxide. I'm sure I'm butchering
And
names.
Flander, we definitely know. He was.
Of course.
Yeah, we actually talked quite a bit.
Before his arrest to send samples and
Not
review-
Flanders.
No,
Neil's.
no.
Yeah, just to be clear.
Yeah. Before his arrest to send sample and review his rare Soviet weapon collection. Before his arrest, he also had asked us to invite you to tour his U.S. ammo factory where he produced various Russian calibers along with RPG-2, RPG-7, and DSHK. Thank you.
So yeah, I wanted to bring that in, and there has been further conversation there and things. I didn't know what he wanted shared and not shared. I just wanted to mention that, reach out. So going to be working with them. I would enjoy doing like an interview, giving the Fed Arms side of the story. I'm absolutely happy to be corrected. I had to go with, and he admitted, like, because of legal things, the internet pretty much just has one or two stories, and he claims that they were from a tabloid that really didn't know what they were talking about. Fair. I'm hoping to see progress there and see that, that's based out of Fort Smith, which is not far from us. So stay tuned for that. That's why I wanted to include it here, because I'm hoping to have more on the whole Fed Arm POF thing, and it's cool that they reached out to us, and it was polite like that the whole time. There was no cool, and always happy to correct the story, because we only know, just like any news reporter, what we can find.
Yeah, and then you hate to put false information out there, bad information.
So we will happy to do a correction.
What better way than the people to read? We'll go into number 5, which is from Mungo Gobang. He says, do you know when the next batch of Swiss rifles will be available for pre-order? I find it very odd that JDI, SIG keep ordering rail and diopter combo, as it seems that really limits what magnified optics that one can use and makes the rail a red dot only proposition. If I am wrong, let me know. Thanks for.
I'm gonna be honest, and I shoot my Swiss guns.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people don't. I think they just buy them, and it's a kind of a cool look.
It's like a Rolex, you hang it up and don't wear it.
Even if they do, they probably just go with like a micro, like the Swiss use kind of a little one of the small aim points.
Yeah.
So, but I know what he's saying, and there are reasons. I mean, for one thing, in Switzerland, they call diopter sights American sights because they say that only Americans want them now. Everyone else, pick rail, which makes sense. As far as the next batch, there's a lot going on there. I talked to Dave a few days ago. They were supposed to be here, promised, cross their heart, hope to die in November. Now we're in December, not here. We don't know what's going on. And maybe don't just take anything you can get, but if you make a list, like number 1, 2, 3, and if it's on that list, if it's like your number 3 favorite, get that.
You know, there's an old saying that an old timer told me when I first started deer hunting, and it was, don't pass up on the buck that comes through.
Yep.
That you first see that you would be glad to take on the last day of your hunting trip. So it's the same thing with guns. You know, if you see a gun that you're kind of about, but let's say it's 2 weeks after they quit importing them that you want it, you probably should have bought it when you're I mean, it's really that simple.
And it is a trick. But here's the thing too: guns, if you buy right, they hold their value.
Of course,
it's not gone. It's not like a car. If you buy it new, you're going to lose money. That's not to say you always make money on a gun, but
you got to buy the right ones too, to an extent.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to just go and buy every cool gun shelf gun that the guy behind the counter. Oh, get this 410 automatic shotgun. Okay, it's like those are okay, but you're talking an investment, a $4,000 or $5,000 import, or even like the mini barrels, or even now the WBPs you can still get your hands on. Those guns, and even Zastava, these guns are going to be worth more in 5 years.
If you buy right, if you find a good deal, then
of course. Yeah,
I understand the thing, but no, I don't know when the next batch is coming in. I don't know that even Dave does, and it is so exasperating, especially as we come to the end of the calendar year. We don't need outstanding money, you know. It needs to kind of find itself. By the way, I think my shirt was pretty effective. It hasn't snowed, but
it's close. We're into that stage in the mountains where it's cold. Like on the temperature gauge, it doesn't look that bad, but it feels that bad because it's 10-mile-an-hour wind.
Yeah,
you know,
and it's cold. It's supposed to
mountain
get the teens. So my shirt. So I think that was all for the direct questions.
Yeah, that was it.
And I've had others, but those are the ones that kind of stood out and were most recent. So if yours wasn't there, sorry about that. But I just wanted to read those because there was something to talk about there. And with that, we're going to take a little break and then get to the actual thread on Patreon.
All right, cool.
Alrighty.
Let's get into Keelan Ross says, I'm curious if you have or had any hobbies that you wish you had more time to spend doing, or maybe something that you would like to do, but just really can't find the motivation to do it. For me, I think it would be model building. I like the idea of it, but whenever I have the time to do it, I always seem to choose to do something else.
I'll let you go first on that one since I've been talking.
You know, man, honestly, if I to unwind, to relax, I'm quite the opposite. I work very long hours at work, and then when I get off work, I do all my hobbies. So realistically, my thing that I wish I could find more time to do is to stop doing everything, like sleep, unwind, relax. I already work out, I hunt, I have hobbies, I do everything. So that would be mine, to just not do anything, to find the time to not do anything.
Kind of be like how it used to be.
Yeah, like meditate, or how it used to be. It seems like we live in a world where it's like we have to always be doing something. We can't just be content with like.
And you see it really being pushed on the kids now. Like I remember,
it's crazy.
I mean, we
12 sports.
Yeah, we did stuff as kids, but we just had Saturdays where like I don't know, go over to so and so's house and play, and we go there and just go run around the fields and get in the little mischief. But it's like your kids go.
You just
go
unwound.
Yeah,
like what happened to picnics? When was the last time anyone you know went and set up a picnic basket and just blew 3 hours at a park?
When's the last time people just go like visit? Not just friends, but even family. Just like
visit.
Just go visiting around. When I was a kid, people would just get in the car and drive around and visit 3 or 4 houses.
What do you think causes that? Is it social media? Is it that we see everybody posting about
I think
how busy they are?
We're in such a what's the word they call it? It's make money.
Oh yeah, keep
grind.
grinding.
Yeah, grind.
We're just hustling 24/7.
It's like we're made to feel like time off is wasted time.
For sure.
And it's not.
No. How do you reprogram yourself to where that isn't? Because that's tough.
I don't know.
Especially for my generation. I feel we're between kind of the boomers and the
because if you look
millennials.
at like the Gen Zs, they're getting like, it sounds kind of silly, but they're just mental health. But
Yeah.
even though the term's a little silly, I think there's some real validity to it. Taking some me time, just
Yeah.
being stupid.
You know, I listened to a lady the other day on a video, and she was like celebrating her 109th birthday, and they asked her, what's your secret? And exactly what she said was no stress. I didn't get worked up. I didn't overwork. I found a happy me. No one misses being busy.
Yeah, no one misses like Monday morning work.
Yeah.
I do have one thing I wish I had more time for, and I'm hoping at the cabin I will. I used to read quite a few books. Okay, listen to them but I wouldn't mind getting into good books again. It's it's finding the time, and
Yeah.
that's me too. I just feel like it's hard for me to sit still and just listen to the same thing for 3 or 4 hours like I used to. But I traveled a lot before Wi-Fi, Bluetooth was everywhere.
Right.
It's like, what else are you gonna do? Listen to a book?
Yeah. Really cool question there.
Yeah.
Keelan has one more for us. If you had the ability to pick a particular cartridge and make it more available and affordable, what would it be? He says he is tempted to 545, so maybe he'd be more apt to get an AK chambered for it. But
What do you think? Yeah.
I'm kind of cheesy on this because I'm a deer hunter and I shoot long distance. But with that being said, I'm a little old school and I really like 308.
I was going back to that.
Yeah.
That was kind of one of mine.
308 is such a beautiful round, and they make so many fun guns that come with 20 round mags where you could just blast through from your FAL to your AR-10s to the SIG AR-10 platforms.
Or the bolt actions.
Or bolt actions, yeah. But you just tend to back off because with like even the IMI or the hollow point, the nice 308 rounds are, $150. $2 a round now, and even for the hunters, if you're trying to zero in your rifle, you're
like
gonna
we went out today and shot an FAL, and even though we only went through a couple of boxes,
oh my God, that would have been $50.
Yeah, and you can't do that, man.
No.
And it is fun because it's pretty versatile.
Yeah, well, it's fun to shoot suppressed. Your AR-10s. There's just so many fun guns that are the Galils, 308 Galils.
And like a Remington 700 with the right barrel.
So fun.
That's one of the most accurate guns you can get.
100%. Well, hell, even those All-American, the Ruger All-American new bolt actions.
Or a Mossberg Patriot even if you're on a budget.
Bingo. I think that would do America well if 308 could be more affordable.
Yeah, I've never been much of a one-size-fits-all when it comes to caliber. Like, let's just do a 6.8 for everything. No.
Correct.
Having a couple of different calibers, 9mm, 5.56.
For sure.
Those are good general calibers. 5.56 really good for a lot of things. 9mm is as close to a universal pistol round, but...
Perfectly.
Yeah, 308 is just a good rifle round.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's a couple more we could think of, but that seems to be what we have the most of. And we didn't rehearse any of these.
And guns, yeah.
Yeah, and guns.
In fact, I was supposed to print this out last night, or I was lazy, I didn't.
Yeah. Cool. Good questions. He also ended with thanks for all the great videos and keep up the hard work.
Thanks for participating.
Yeah. Paul S. He goes, I would like to know your opinion on some individuals saying WBP is commercial grade. How many rounds do you have you put through any of yours?
Yeah, I mean, what does commercial grade really mean anymore?
Yeah.
I have the prototype of the WBP when they first came into the country as a rifle, not just a parts kit. Although we did get some of the parts kits back when Jay was around.
Correct.
That Atlantic had built. But I've still got the prototype. It's going. I still have an early one. You've got one. You've got the first mini Jack pistol. Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming by commercial grade, he's probably saying, like, are they a heavy duty? Are they a...
Yeah. Well, they did start off as a commercial. Basically, WBP is a private company owned by a guy named Jack. Mm-hmm. And they saw a void in the market. FB had moved on to the Baril. Mm-hmm. And so there was a demand in Europe and elsewhere to repair, refurbish, and even build new AKM types. And so they stood in. But they've done a good enough job that they've ended up earning military contracts. Now, are they Polish military? No, because they don't use that gun anymore. But, like, Egypt is one. And they do a lot of... Yeah, so they've kind of earned their way. So even though they're a private company, it's kind of like LWRC or LMT in America. Started off as private, but they ended up getting some
civilian market,
military and police contracts. I think they're as good as anything else, frankly. I've not noticed any.
No, I think I think if you're questioning it, I think now would be a good time to probably jump on your WBP. I would do it now than later.
I really like Zastava, and I've heard
Love
more.
Zastava.
I've heard
have
more
5 of
stuff,
them.
but I've heard more actual issues, quote
For
unquote,
sure. Over the last what, 5-10 years.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I think most of those are overblown. Talk to real WBP owners, and
Yeah,
the issues do not seem that great.
Well, you know, and the thing about WBP is, I know obviously just like that Wilson there, whenever you pick up, there's certain guns you can pick up and you can say, okay, I can feel this is a good quality gun, but you could also see where maybe it would have issues. With WBP, when you pick those AKs up, there's something about them that it just seems like, man, this is built right. It's built It's built like it's going to function.
So it doesn't really bug me. Yeah.
No,
But no, my original from 2018's still there. It's been a test demo gun for a lot of times, and still holding its headspace. The barrel's, of course, good, Nick, because it's an FB Radom barrel. The furniture's holding up. The WBP laminate furniture is excellent.
I like it. It may be some of my best looking. I actually tricked my mini jack out, and honestly, I gotta say, I kind of like their furniture the best out of the AK world. Cool. I don't like the aftermarket.
But no, I would like to think they'd be straight with you if we had any issues, and just haven't. They're solid.
Solid. All right, cool question.
Thanks.
Let's go to number 3, top 56. Did you ever get your Sentry arms to function properly? I'm assuming he's talking about
Boxer
Snatch. Yeah,
Snatch.
Yeah. This is what's going on, and also, is this the worst one Sentry's ever produced?
The answer is no and no. I actually was going to bring out the Wasser 3. Last time we left off, I was going to put a different trigger group in. And the night before coming out here, I think trip before last, I was going to drop that in. Well, I dropped it in and realized the hammer was catching on the bolt group. And that's probably to do with it being a 223. So basically, I needed to grab a different fire control group. And I have several around my place that are takeoffs. I ran out of time, so it's sitting there. As far as being the worst, sadly, no. Sentry's had some real stinkers. The C39 with the butter receiver, the RAS-47 wasn't great, but their worst was probably still that Visca, that VSAK or whatever it was, the one that the barrel just almost fell out. They've had some ones that were pretty, the Romanian 223 guns, even going back to the days of the SAR3, always had a bit of a, it's a project gun reputation.
Cool question, top 56. We'll do one more before we give the camera a break for a second. So let's go to number 4 from David TX. Says, Happy Thanksgiving. Could you provide any guidance on how to get my hands on a Vepr 54 replacement extractor?
That's a problem today, and it was a known problem back when those came in, because the Vepr 54, 7.62 by 54 rimmed, was always a commercial hunting gun in Russia. Keep in mind the Vepr's based on the RPK. Surprise, surprise, they never chambered an RPK in that caliber. That would be a PKM. So when they did it, that's more or less a proprietary bolt and all its components. That was a known weak point and, spare parts issue point back in the day. Of course, in 2014, Kalashnikov Concern was sanctioned because of the invasion of Crimea. In 2017, Molot joined that list because they got in too deep with the Putin government and Kalashnikov Concern. So we can't get parts from them. But even when we could, foreign companies don't really like sending spare parts over. They look at every spare part they send as one less rifle they can send.
That makes sense. A good business standpoint.
Yeah, from them. And with all the rigmarole of importing to America, it's almost as much effort to bring over parts as it is guns. Full gun. So that's unfortunately what happened. Now, that said, I think there are enough 54Rs in this country. It's just a machined part.
Right.
And with modern manufacturing, someone, kind of like we were talking about at the beginning of the video with the RPK Dong foregrip, some American company is going to make that part.
Right.
So I would just Google it, look around. I'm sure someone will start making those.
Martin Coffee. Coffee. Yeah, we shot some coffee cans today, didn't we?
That was a good use of that. That was a good call.
Dude, there is one that launched so high up it's up in the tree. I'm sure someone can pick it up.
We
on
are
the
so
video.
not going to tell Todd that. So when he goes to mow next year.
tree.
I don't know what happened. Damn kids.
Damn kids. All right, Mr. Coffee says, if squibs or misfires happen, is a 20-round mag dump a deadly practice?
Have you ever had a squib?
No, but if it seats, it yeets.
Yeah. I haven't.
No,
it takes quite a bit. It usually seems like it happens a lot
Suppressed.
with like reloads,
Yeah.
suppress, something goofy.
The only time I ever get nervous about squibs is if I'm using one of my hunting rifles and I do a low grain.
There you go.
Subsonic. I will check.
Big old
before-
heavy chunky bullet.
Yeah, I will definitely check to make sure the barrel on my AR is clear.
I have a story from years ago about one of the Lahoskis who had a squib in his Makarov, and it was
Okay.
a bullet. No problem, it happened.
Yeah.
Got it out of the thing. But one time I got a revolver from Century. It was a Manurhin MR 73, and it was sold as like an as-is poor condition. I got the gun because they were cheap, So I thought, I'll use this for spare parts, whatever's good. Got in, looked at the gun, looked fine, worn here and there. What's wrong with it?
Was squib in the barrel?
No, 6. There were 6 bullets stacked up.
Dude, how do you even mess something up that bad? Were the bullets loaded with baby powder?
I don't know.
Dude, that's badass.
But it took
6.
it.
It's like Skittles coming out of it.
It took it. The barrel wasn't like
Cracked, split.
I'm sure it was bulged. It had to have been,
yeah.
but it wasn't. And it was safe. Now, to be fair, the Manurhin is known as a really strong revolver.
Yeah.
But usually when you shoot a gun,
Yeah.
you know when something doesn't feel right, when it doesn't recoil right, when it doesn't sound
Dude,
right.
that person had to have been drunk.
That's why I really think. Well, it was France. That's why I do think.
Sorry.
You just kind of feel.
It's kind of
your
like when I
guns.
first got into 1911s, 45, especially Aguila and some of the cheaper Mexico brands.
Yeah.
You'll know when something's off. So your question about mag dump, blah, 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 that's really a question more or less for you. Do you feel comfortable shooting a $2,000 gun or $1,500 or even a $500 gun? What's the price of your hand? If you're having lump rounds coming out of the end of that barrel, I'd probably look for different ammo.
And most barrels are pretty strong.
Yeah, for sure.
I've had more people that I know get hurt through like poor headspace.
Poor headspace.
Yeah, like shit coming out of the chamber end.
Yeah.
I mean, anything's possible, but I'd say just be aware. Know how your gun shoots.
Yeah.
Electronic ear protection is really good for me because you can hear it. And when you hear it sounds wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But
Or feel or smell. There's been sometimes when I shoot a gun and the loads are too hot. You're gonna feel it and smell it. Things are gonna be different.
Yeah. If there's too much gas coming back, you will get a snootful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool question.
Like Frenchman.
Like Frenchman.
But yeah, that's my only stories I've ever had with honest to God squibs.
Yeah. B. Rody Tremelli. This is question number 6, and there's a few of them in here, so my dumbass is going to
Yeah, why don't we just kind of take them piecemeal?
we'll just stop me, because I like to read if I can read. I like to show off my reading skills. General gun question. If you aren't able, blah, 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 if you don't want to answer them, don't answer them. Just throwing some stuff on the wall, see if it sticks. Well, the next batch of JDI Swiss SIGs, when will those be coming in?
And Ken already talked about that, but I get it. We still don't know. They're ordered. They're paid for. Who knows? And that's not anything to do with JDI send imports. That's totally over on the European side.
Cool. Let's see. Did Century bring in any new MKEs outside of a lot of them, it looks like.
Yeah.
AP51, AP53, and AP5. How many more do you need, Brody?
That was literally my reaction first time. Like, that's 3 new. We are going to be doing a video on the AP53. I've got that ordered. 51, it's cool. This doesn't quite interest me getting like a 9-inch 308. The AP5 SD is kind of cool. That's the faux suppressor version.
I've never, you know how I feel about the faux suppressors, but it is cool. It gives kind of that unique.
Yeah.
Still get it in a pistol brace or an SBR. But.
Yeah, the 53 is the one. So I mean, I honestly, is that not enough? I would love to see like a G3K, which is like a 13-inch 308.
Yeah.
That I would enjoy.
So I would enjoy that too, and I've kind of noticed that because obviously I'm shooting an 18-inch AR 308
Sure.
or bouncing around with others, but I think a 13-inch would be interesting to see someone import in. I know we got the Glil. What was the Glil? 13.2?
11 was the
Yeah.
pistol.
See, I feel like a 13 would be great because like, you could successfully deer hunt still within 200-300 yards, but also not be lugging around a big ass gun.
No, it's not. Well, and I
Yeah.
like them because there's history. The British used
Absolutely.
the G3K, and that would still would probably be cool with the imports. It's not the longest barrel.
Right.
18-inch, you know what? I get it if you don't have one, but there are
Let's
at
be
least
real.
options.
You're
You
right.
got the Springfields and all that from
For
before.
sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any thoughts with the new administration and maybe where gun stuff could be in the next 4 years?
Man, the last year, even 4 years of politics have told us that all the norms are out. Who knows?
Who knows what could... It's
Who
a coin
knows?
toss.
You know what's funny, though? And this is just an objective fact. I heard her talk about guns more, claiming she owned a Glock and claiming all this stuff, than I heard him. I didn't hear Trump say one thing about
No.
guns.
No.
And not that he needed to. It's just kind of funny. It was kind of funny of her trying to play up like,
think-
now I'm pro 2A.
Yeah.
Like,
I honestly think right now, from kind of middle ground standpoint as well, I think guns are going to be okay. Unless there's just like some crazy shit that happens over the next few years, which, like what Misha said, everything's out the window. But I think America's kind of moved on right now. I think we're kind of back to maybe some sanity. I feel like the woke crowd's kind of chill, but I also feel like the gun community's
I
kind
honestly
of chill.
feel like guns have kind of become less of a.
yeah.
I think COVID taught because I'll
sure.
say as an FFL, I sold more than a few guns to folks
Or-
living
or-
in New York who said I've never thought I'd be a gun owner.
Well, think about the border crisis.
Yeah.
COVID's a great example. So is the border. A lot of people are wanting to arm
that's an
themselves.
issue
Yeah.
that impacts liberals.
The Ukraine war.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing not
Well,
third world countries being invaded, but
Well, and that's why you see that a lot of the former Bloc nations or Soviet nations were much more open to gun ownership
Right.
than Western because they knew what it was like and they knew A, it was something you could use to put food on the table. B,
Yeah.
you could defend your home against whoever.
yeah,
Personal autonomy.
for sure.
So, and I will say I do have one concern, and I'm not worried about it. It doesn't keep me up at night, but the tariff situation.
Yeah, well, Trump mentioned the tariff stuff, and that could totally drive imports up to even be more expensive.
And that's really specific to people that deal with it.
Yeah.
But then again, everything is tied to imports.
Well, then face it, everything's expensive.
Yeah. So
I mean-
I don't think they're that silly to
No.
drive up prices.
No.
I really don't. But if I had to have one concern, it would be don't jack up because we're already paying 10, 11% on gun being
Yeah.
imported. Don't bump that to 20 or 25.
Yeah, Brody asked a question that I'm excited about. Do you think the new HK MR 556A4 is a miss the mark due to the lack of chrome line barrel? I can tell you through lots of experience and putting my HK MR 556A1, which is a cold hammer forged barrel, they are extremely accurate and consistent. I have 4,000 rounds through mine. That's varmint rounds, that's precision rounds, that's everything, and that's mostly suppressed. And the accuracy is unbelievable and always consistent.
Do you think it's gone down at all since you've been shooting?
No, not at all. It actually, if anything, it's gotten better. I really started noticing.
broke in?
Sub MOA groups really after a couple hundred rounds.
Question, which bullet weight? Like 55, 62, 70?
So for all of my varmint round stuff, I'll do 55 grain VMAX hollow points, and then for all my class training and my precision long distance shooting, it's 77 grain.
Gotcha.
IMO.
So pretty wide range there.
All the time. Yeah, I'll go from my hand loads, 65 grain to 77 to.
And even though it's kind of anecdotal for me personally, for obvious reasons,
Yeah.
I've noticed that people thinking like, oh, 1 in 12 twist should only be 55 grain, 1 in 7 should be 62 grain. I think that's a little bit over. I think you'd have to look at the MR556 in general as just like what it is. It's a match version.
Yeah.
It's not an HK416.
Well, so it's not a military gun,
Nope.
but you can definitely still precision shoot with
Yeah.
it. So, a couple more questions that are going to be on the personal level from Brode. How many? Talk about your cats. How many cats you got?
Just one, just Peanut.
Yeah, only one.
Yeah, no, I think we're at 5 right now. We have Miss Peanut, who will probably appear in this video at some point. Are you happy having photobombed this video? There's Hobo, who's the old cat that showed up years ago. We lost Oscar a couple of years back, sadly. Earl, who's the buff cat that loves Trump. I need to give him a little MAGA hat.
There's a MAGA hat.
Seamus, who's the gray and white one you probably see, who's pretty big. And there's the younger one we got a little after Oscar passed. His name's Odie, but he goes by Wormy because he just kind of wiggles and worms. He's a short-haired tabby.
Wiggle worm.
He wiggles. So, yeah.
Cats are great. Let's see. You have any collection, or in your gun collection, is there any particular gun that sentimental or of value to you, or kind of your favorite? Or
yeah, and we kind of rehearsed this, and I don't think I could ever pick one gun, but it's really funny because Jess literally asked me this yesterday when we were in the car. It's a very common question, like, what gun but the thing is, there's no one-size-fits-all gun. Do you keep the sentimental one? Okay, cool. Is it sentimental for family? Is it for friends? For yourself?
Yeah.
Do you keep the practical gun? Like Jess said, he'd keep a 12 gauge because you can do so much with it. Fair. Do you keep a gun that's more fun to shoot? That was my counter argument.
Yeah.
12 gauges are very practical. They're not the most fun to shoot.
They're not. And, people have such a hard time believing that. 12 gauges are practical, but they're just they're not a full day, You get into an AR or even some lever action guns and 22s. My God, you could shoot those for 2 weeks. But
yeah, even some pistols if it's a comfy pistol.
Yeah,
I don't think I could pick one. I really don't. I know that's. I think if you made me get rid of everything but one gun, I would just go ahead and get rid of that last gun because it would make me sad just seeing it. It reminded me of what I lost.
Yeah, Brody had asked to talk a little bit about being blind. Were you born that way, or was it a medical condition?
And my extremely hilarious response was, I didn't know you were blind. You've been hiding this from me the whole time. But the truth is, just to get to it, I have been my whole life. I was born with a version of glaucoma. Had a bunch of surgeries when I was young, between the ages of about 0 and 12. But they never really worked, and pretty much just been blind my whole life. That's just how the cookie crumbles.
Is there anything you could ever recall or remember seeing in any way, as far as like something that stood out? Like, I know that's a weird question.
Yeah,
but like maybe the outline of a building or something that.
Yeah, I never would, even at the best after surgeries, could never see faces, never drive, never. But I could see some vague shapes and things at times. I remember once in my life when I was very young, I could sort of kind of see a starry sky. Probably the contrast. I could see the original cabin when it was the red cabin a little bit.
Yeah.
When I was really young.
Good to catch up on that. Great questions, Brody. Let's go over here to John Goodnow. It's not John Goodman, it's John, I'm good now. So he says, hello, Peanut. Peanut, can you ask Misha who he uses for building his kit?
You want belly rubs? Belly rubs. It's a twat.
But one more important question. If you could have one gun for Christmas, what would it be?
On the kits, I'm going to be honest, I haven't had a kit built in so long, and if you look at my AKs, you'll notice the common theme of they're mostly imports.
Yeah.
When I can't, but even then, most of those I had the original barrels. Or I would buy like a headspace kit from Arms of America, and at that point, building is just rivets.
Yeah.
So usually me, myself, and I with some help from friends and family on a weekend.
Yeah, a couple of beers and a solder gun. And
I've never once sent off to one of the big name builders that charged $500, $1,000 and waited 2 years.
I've never really understood that. Anyways.
I'm not patient enough for that.
No. If chances are, if I have to wait 2 years for a $500 AK to be built, I'm just gonna buy.
I moved on to something else.
Yeah, for sure. But I also respect people that do that.
Oh yeah,
like that kind of nostalgia.
Different strokes
for sure.
So Christmas gun.
Yeah. Well, what do you?
You first.
Man, I'm a sucker. I really am. I'm kind of a POS when it comes to Christmas gifts because I kind of buy what I want when I want.
Yeah.
You know that more than anybody because you sell me my guns. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it sounds kind of just base, but I'd probably just go with the HK MR308. I really like it.
308 or the 762?
I'm sorry, 762.
Well, there isn't a 308. It's the European version. So
Of course, no, the 762, and mostly because they have that kit that comes. It has the razors.
I tried to sell you one during COVID.
I know, man. I should have bought it, but
hey, I'm glad you didn't because for some reason it ended up
money.
being a collectible gun. I don't even know why, but yeah, I mean,
it's just something I use a lot. Something I hunt a lot.
I mean, and this is a question that comes up, but if it were just like, hey, something that doesn't exist, but what if it did? It'd probably be a Japanese Type 64 or Type 89 semi-automatic. Mm-hmm. If it's something that exists, it's hard to say. Yeah, I'd say Santa FAMAS, because even if I have the money for FAMAS semi, I'm not doing it. But if it were given to me, there you go.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Boring answer, but it's the truth.
People often forget about gifts or Christmas gifts. My wife put it best when she said, it's something that you generally wouldn't buy for yourself. Like, because just like the HK 762, I would buy that for myself. But for a gift, there's probably something better out there. We do have a good example here from, who said this? Martin? I think it was Martin that answered to... an original FAL 308 from Belgium was one he would want.
Yeah,
so
and I get
example.
that. You know, once upon a time, it probably would have been a Swiss SIG. Frankly, those were so hard to get. And I do have a couple of guns that, if they hadn't been gifts, I probably would have sold them.
That's a good way to put that.
But because they are, it's at least mentally a good reason. Like I've got what they call a Black Widow Luger that was... Yeah. Or here's a good one. My Winchester trench gun. Normally, I would never keep a shotgun worth that much, but it was a gift from a friend. So
yeah, why would you not?
I would feel like a heel if I did that.
I know who got you that gun. But cool question. Let's get into Hardwire here. We already answered this. I was just kind of glazing through it. It was basically just about the next 4 years with gun rights. So. Still wanted to give Hardwire 101 just the benefit he asked that question, but
no one knows, and we all wish we did because then we could know. I
buy imports.
I will say this: anytime there's been a Republican, we've been pretty good on the domestic front, but imports have been hit. In '89 with George Sr., 2005 with the barrel ban under George Jr., Obama and Trump both tag teamed Russian imports. 14 and 17. So imports are just the low-hanging fruit that anyone might go after.
The good news is you don't really have to worry about losing ARs because there's a billion of them out here. Glocks, your Smith & Wessons, all your handguns are pretty good. We've seen what California has done in some of the bigger states with just magazine capacity. So that really leaves imports. I mean, I don't...
Not saying they should or they would or I would not like. I would like it, but they could ban ARs tomorrow, and there are so many just receivers out there. And you saw that in '86 when they passed the machine gun registry closing that would go into effect in May of '86, and the months leading up to it, because laws don't happen overnight.
No, not at all.
People cranked out as many like Sten tubes and registered them as they could. You would see that, like they would just. There's already millions of ARs. They put another 500,000 ARs receivers.
But with imports, what's here is here, and
that could be banned tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just like the Swiss guns. You should probably get one when you can,
or just anything.
Zastava. Yeah, Zastava. Yeah, WBP's there. So, fun question: have you ever had Poutine before?
Poutine.
Poutine. Yeah. He says it's fantastic.
He actually thought it was Putin. It's a Canadian food. It's kind of like. It's like biscuits and gravy, only they get confused and they use French fries instead of biscuits.
Dude, that sounds like someone was really high.
Yeah, well, weed's been legal in Canada and it's cold, so yeah.
It doesn't. I'm not. I've been so. Yeah.
It's a little heavy to my taste, but it is objectively good.
Do they put salt and stuff on it? Salt,
cheese, and stuff. Oh yeah, it's loaded up.
What's wrong? Okay, well maybe I should try it. Rob says hello, Misha.
Hello.
And happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. We're going to keep trucking through. It was Charlie boy. Charlie boy.
I'm just thinking about Sonny.
Yeah, he says hello to Peanut. He didn't put Fox on there, but I'll add it on there. And Misha.
Peanut's more important.
First off, he says thanks for what you do. All the hard work.
Thank you.
All the help over the years. And... do you have any plans or goals for 2025? Any kits? Anything? I know not kits, but let's just. What's going on for 25?
You got anything in your head? Any guns you're looking at? Or
man, I think really 25 is going to be another year at precision shooting. I'm really enjoying optics and scopes, and really starting to learn more since we have so many guns, the both of us combined. Really looking into, like, let's say the AUG, how well it shoots on paper. I think that'll be fun in 25. Looking at different grains, maybe different guns suppressed, and I think shooting.
I'm kind of in the same thing. Trying to get ammo back, finishing the actual stand-up range out here with steel that needs doing.
Yeah, that's big priority. You should emphasize
the
on that,
cabin was 24 basically getting this done. So now that and settling in here, taking a little time, set back, and with the guns that I'm doing, and maybe adding some accessories and finishing up a couple of little odds and end projects, like on that HD18. You know, finally putting that front sight on. We talked about kind of wrapping up things that have been just sitting there,
lingering.
Yeah, just kind of closing the book on it, not selling, but also trying to drag out some older guns, let you try them.
Yeah.
You know, dust off some old favorites, remember why I liked them. But yeah, just kind of reacquainting. And
do you think any plans to kind of make the Mishaco channel maybe more different than, let's say, other YouTube channels? Do you have anything that you would find could maybe how are we going to get to 100,000?
I don't know. I told him, this year I really would like to do that, just to say we did it. But I'd like to do some interviews. You know, we talked about Fed Arm at the beginning, but also some like long-term people that, like Bill, that's been in the business, needing to interview.
Or even Walther, some local people.
I'd love to do with, man, you know me and Walther. Like,
for sure.
That's, things. So maybe not worrying so much about gun reviews, but
meeting people.
Yeah, meeting people, getting more involved in that area, kind of. And I would like to just kind of keep documenting, like, one day, and I won't be able to release the figures, but like on Swiss Guns, one day when it's all said and done, be like, hey, these are the numbers of JDI imports. And that way, kind of like Mike Kastner did for KBI, it's nice to save that kind of stuff for posterity, because so often online you read, like, how many of these Polytechs came in or whatever, and no one really knows.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, I'd like to make sure and just catalog stuff for history, for posterity.
Yeah, I think that's really good. Keep it alive. Keep it out here. Write the book.
And keep just, long-term testing guns.
Yeah.
Be it cheap guns like the Pioneer or expensive guns like the MR556.
For sure.
Keep pumping rounds through them.
So I think we're in the segment now where we'll go through, looks like maybe a couple more questions here, but got a question from Fox. Have no idea who this guy is, but Fox, which is me, I'm going to ask one question. I just want one answer. What year was 5.54 ammunition introduced? Like, that's all.
Oh, I forgot. He did ask me this. He asked me earlier when we were loading up for the WBP video that, why is it a thing?
But let's ask, what year did it come out? 5.54. Yeah,
well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. The earliest prototypes you see, I would say the earliest loadings like 68, 69, and then they kind of like nailed it down. Like, this is the weight, this is the thing by 73.
So in that time, you've got like Cold War, World War II. You've got all these crazy wars. You got Vietnam. Why in the hell would they waste their time making such a small bullet? What was the purpose?
Because they saw how effective 5.56 was, like in Vietnam, and they're like, hey, this is a good idea, because, we were going from 308, 7.62 NATO to 223, 5.56. You can argue there. But they had 7.62 by 39. Good round, but it was very much a 1940s. Relatively slow-moving bullet, not the most range, not the most accurate, heavy, if you're carrying 30 rounds. 5.45 gave them a flatter shooting bullet, a faster bullet, therefore better accuracy. They also focused on like controllability and full auto, so recoil, and lighter. Like, you can carry a lot more bullets.
Very light.
So they thought it was a good idea, and of course they customized it. I mean, but the earliest ones were basically kind of combining features of both.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and
cool. Very, very. I'll talk.
Nice
I'll talk all the time, but I do appreciate the Patreon questions. I know he appreciates it. I help as much as I can in the channel, and from getting to point A to point B, guys, you got to realize me and Misha are still almost 2 hours apart, realistically, with traffic and stuff involved. So this helps a lot. This helps from
And it's
ammo.
just getting out of time.
Well, it is, but really the Patreons and everybody putting their heads together and being here is
That's kind of
keeps
why
us alive.
that's really why we're doing it with all the added Patreon support, also some ammo donations. I was like, we got to do a Q&A. We gotta like
for sure.
give back. So
Yeah, the lives are fun, but the Q&A I think gets a little more personal.
Yeah.
Kind of their own dedicated video. They can always go back and see when their questions were.
yeah, so.
Cool stuff, man.
Yeah, guys. Well, again, this is kind of just thank you. We pretty much did the whole day shooting guns, so there'll be hopefully quite a few videos coming up, and appreciate everyone. We'll do a live stream pretty soon too, but
Yeah, probably. I figure right after Christmas, New Year, something like that. We need to do a live stream, or maybe even sooner. I don't know.
yeah. But it's all the Patreons who joined. Really appreciate it. Pitch in questions. I'll start a new thread for questions, and we can always do like a hybrid where we do it live, but we also answer some questions on there. Whatever works. Let us know what you like.
Yeah, that's the best thing about it is don't be afraid. Just because the Mishaco channel is set in long gun format reviews, I'm here to help. If there's some modern stuff, if there's scope stuff, if there's LPVOs, the 2011s was a great question. Ask whatever you want. I mean, literally between the both of us, we can keep it interesting, keep you guys engaged. So,
Alrighty, guys. Well, we're tired and hungry, so appreciate you tuning in. Obviously, longer versions on Patreon and a shorter version is on YouTube. As always, if you could at least like, share, and subscribe, that helps out more than you realize. But if you can pitch in on Patreon, even $1, it really, really helps, and it just gives positive feedback. Everyone wants to be seen like they're going in the right